What's going on? Long time no see. How you been? What you doing over there? Who you with? What you doing? Okay. Yeah. How you liking Korea? Okay. You Chicago? Right, exactly.
Okay, that visually showed you what's going on in the pen. But here to tell you all about it is the commander of 8th Army, Lieutenant General Joe Hilbert. General?
Thanks. Thanks. All right. Thanks for the applause. Checks will be in the mail after LANPAC. So, hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's great to see y'all again. It's great to kind of add a finer detail on what we're doing in 8th Army. A little finer detail than what I talked about earlier in the panel discussion. And with me today, I got experts from our commands, both on the panel here, but also in the audience with us. So we'll, when we get into the question and answers, I have an opportunity to engage with all of them. As I mentioned in the discussion, 8th Army's known for its 75 plus years on the Korean Peninsula, and known for what we do with our allies there in the Republic of Korea. And we have been in a modernizing alliance since 1953. I think that nobody would question that. But we're certainly in a unique period of modernization right now on the peninsula with the forces that we've got. So when we look at the future fight, and we look at the modernization initiatives that we've got, there's just a couple of things that I want to highlight from the team that I've got here with me today to just give you a bit of a glimpse at some of the things that we're looking at. So first, we've got 35th Air Defense Artillery Brigade with Colonel Clemente, currently fielded the indirect fire protection capability, IFPC 2, and integrating into the Integrated Battle Command System, which is it's a game changer for us in terms of the way that we protect the theater in terms of against air threats. What it means is that for U.S. and ROC forces, we're able to protect the force so that we can employ the force. And she can talk to you about that. What I would also offer to you, Ro comes to us with a great deal of expertise she didn't know I was going to put her on the spot like this, but what we've observed and where she trained Ukrainians, which was with 10th WMBC, and then forces that she's got inside the formation that have been deployed to the CENTCOM AOR, not as part of Epic Fury, but prior to Epic Fury and Midnight Hammer, and some of the things that we've learned there and how that's changing, not the way that we're equipping ourselves, but as I discussed this morning, the way we think about employing ourselves and the way we think about fighting the formations that we've got. Also with us today is Edgar Arroyo from 65th Medical Brigade. Joe Brunson talked about this, the freeze-dried plasma, and some of the things that the medical community is doing, thinking about the way that we treat the fight and treat the soldier, and the way that we keep combat power in the fight. What I would tell you, again, going back to not finding the big M material solution, but the way we think about fighting, Edgar can talk to you not just about the innovative efforts that he's done on the material space with freeze-dried plasma and other things, but just as recently as this last Freedom Shield, how he looked at employing the force differently in creating medical task forces that could provide medical coverage throughout the breadth or the depth of the Korean Peninsula in time of crisis. And then finally, we've got Colonel Carpenter from 19th ESC that's here with us today. Running Material Support Command Korea down on in the Regional Sustainment Hub. If you want to know the specific questions about what we're doing there, Colonel Carpenter can absolutely answer those for you. Everything from the way we're looking at pre-positioned stocks, how we sustain them, how we modernize them, what we're thinking about as far as what we would need down there, but then also how do we link in, I mentioned this in my comments, but how do we link in Korean defense industry to really get best of breed for all of our forces on the peninsula, and then how do we leverage this capability of the Regional Sustainment Hub to not just sustain a Korea fight, but to sustain the first island chain and the capabilities that we have down there. So I'm excited to bring them all up to the stage with me right now. And so if we could, ladies and gentlemen, you come on up here. And I'm going to first hand off to Colonel Carpenter, who will talk to you about 19th ESC and the Regional Sustainment Hub.
Hey, thanks, sir. Hey, team, good morning. Scott Carpenter, Commander MSEK, and I'm here representing General Pak, 19th ESC, and yes, I am sweating. Thanks. So there's been a lot of talk over the last 2 days about this Regional Sustainment Hub, and you've heard things like the Foundry, you've heard the teeth of deterrence, you've also heard the fortress chain. So what does that mean and kind of where the rubber meets the road? So I'm going to talk about what that means down at the tactical level. So one, fixing far forward. We can't afford to send pieces of equipment back to the States. We've got to cross the Pacific. We don't have that opportunity. We can't be afforded that. So we need to be able to fix as much as we can for it. And how are we doing that? So one, we start with our over-the-horizon telemaintenance. So if you've got a cell phone, you can jump in and be part of the over-the-horizon telemaintenance group. So we've got skilled artisans within the Combat Power Generation Center, which is the largest U.S. Industrial complex west of the IDL, there at Camp Carroll. So you're able to reach out through the over-the-horizon telemaintenance, either through Signal or Wicker, and you can reach back and say, hey, here's the challenge I'm having with my piece of kit. Help walk me through the troubleshooting procedures. And we can do that. We adopted that. You heard the boss talk about Ro and her Ukraine efforts. We adopted that from Ukraine. And you're like, hey, why is yours better? Why is yours different? So I'll argue that ours is probably better based off of our artisan workforce. So inside the Combat Power Generation Center, we have a little over 600 Korean nationals that help make up that organization. Those Korean nationals don't have years of experience, they have decades of experience of working on that kit. For instance, we just conducted a town hall a couple months ago to recognize our outstanding Korean workforce, our teammates. And believe it or not, we had an individual there that we recognized that had 50 years of experience. 50 years of experience of working inside our formation. Think about the technical knowledge that comes along with an individual that's got 50 years of experience. So two, the second thing we're doing is we're repairing forward. So maintenance, repair, and overhaul, as well as our special repair activities, our special repair authorities, and our forward repair activities. So working through the LCMCs, AMC, they're granting us certain repair authorities, and they're also placing some repair activities forward. So again, to give you another for instance, the Satellite Transportable Terminal, an STT, if you were to send that back to the States from Korea, transit time to get in the queue to be repaired either at Letterkenny or Tobyhanna, fixed and then sent back over. On average, that piece of kit takes 2 years to be overhauled. From the time it shows up at the Combat Power Generation Center to the time it departs is 35 days. So CCOM has granted us the authorities to conduct overhaul on that STT system. So you can wait 2 years to get that piece of kit back, or you can send it down to Camp Carroll, the Combat Power Generation Center, and we can fix it and really overhaul it in 35 days. Think about the time saved and the cost saved with that. Third and finally, and we've heard a lot about our partners here, we're talking co-sustainment. So we work closely with our ROC counterparts, either the Korean private industry like Korean Airlines or Hanwha Systems, and we also work with our Korean military, so the ROC Army Consolidated Maintenance Depot, or ACMD. So just recently through FS, we brought up Korean maintainers from the ROC ACMD, and they worked inside of our Combat Power Generation Center, and we're teaching them how to work on our military equipment like the 113, the APC. Conversely, we send our maintainers down to ROC ACMD, and there we learn to work on their equipment like the K200, which is their infantry fighting vehicle. Not only are we learning how to work on their kit and they're working on ours, but we're also learning how to operate their 3D printing capabilities. And I'll give an example of why that relationship matters on the pen. So inside my formation, I have a HET platoon, a heavy equipment transport platoon, and it's used to haul track vehicles, large vehicles, to and from ranges up at Camp Casey. It's an older piece of kit and harder to find parts. So one of the trailers had a bad brake line tubing, and we could not find a part in the supply system for that trailer. I have some capabilities, and we're growing the advanced manufacturing capabilities inside the CPGC, inside the Combat Power Generation Center. You heard the boss talk about it earlier. You know, we're trying to become the Rock Island of the Indo-Pacific, but that capability to create that brake line tubing, it exceeded what I was able to do. So I reached out, my team reached out to our Korean counterparts, and in less than 2 weeks, they had that part fabricated and back to us and on that piece of kit from NMC status to get it back up to FMC status. And what's awesome is they're eager about that. They want to do more of that. I'll quickly transition here, and I want to pull this sheet up because it's got numbers on it. So I know everybody's sitting here eating lunch. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the autonomous kitchen and the containerized autonomous kitchen. So Market 19 is our autonomous kitchen, and we've got a containerized version called the Sustained Autonomous Meals, or SAM. So since its inception last November, Market 19 has served over 16,000 meals and maintained a 95% operational readiness rate. Proving its flexibility, 48% of those meals were served outside of normal hours. So MPs that are on shift work, rather than eating an MRE or going through the Burger King drive-thru, they're able to go over to Market 19 and get a healthy meal that's H2F aligned. So it's aligned with holistic health and fitness standards. It's designed by our Army cooks. It's approved by Army dietitians. Market 19 is it listens to our soldier feedback, so we can adjust portion sizes. We can also adjust meal choices. Our containerized version, we just deployed it this month. It's for more austere locations like RSO locations, intermediate staging bases. It's deployable. It can serve 800 mils without being resupplied. And yes, I'll leave you with this. Yes, MREs are great, but wouldn't you rather have one of this week's 15 mil options that include a Berlin doner kebab bowl, a caramelized garlic steak, shrimp, street noodles, and for our vegetarians out there, a Catalina salad, and this next meal, I promise I'm not making it up, the super green goddess. So yeah, we're getting after it. And with that, I'll pass it over to Ed.
Hey, good.
We're all hungry.
I'm ready to eat at the Market 19. Hey, so good afternoon. My name's Edgar Arroyo, as stated, and I am a proud Pacific Victor. I've been in the job for about 2 years, and when we came in, we conducted an assessment, and we found that we were employing our forces like we do in CONUS, doing mission essential task training. So we look to redesign and reinvent in the effort of investing in new thought on how to structure ourselves with the help of our command and control and information systems. We created 3 multifunctional medical task forces, one of them being division-centric in alignment with our new doctrine. Task Force Met North, commanded by the 502nd Field Hospital. And we concentrated all those efforts with anything medical in the north side of the pen. And then we created Task Force Met Central and concentrated all the efforts. And when I say that is, they were to create that knowledge management across the spectrum of both ROC Army, US, Joint or UN capabilities. And then we created the Task Force Met South and gave them a comm system so that wherever I'm at, I can do command and control, whether I'm in the south, central, or north, or I can do it in the 4th location, which was together with the Armed Forces Medical Command, so that I can see and regulate patients from that location in the Korean medical structure and also in the U.S. As General Brunson was saying, we can't afford to wait for the forces to arrive. We still need that buffer about 60 days. So I have to be integrated fully and be able to visualize everything that is going on and is being regulated in terms of casualty flow in the Korean side and in the US side. That also gave me the framework for modernization. We launched the first ever EDOC system. It's an expeditionary oxygen concentration machine, probably fielded by one of you here. And we employed it both at the bedside. We bought the kit to employ that system on the bedside, but also we were able to do area support with this expeditionary system. And we were able to fill all of the tanks across the spectrum of the ROC Army and also of our units in the Joint and UN side. The machine produces about 120 liters per hour. Per minute. Which gives us a lot of capability, both for the internal roll 3, but for all the cylinders it needs to fill for roll 2, 1, and across the spectrum of Korea. And we're talking about what will create the most death on the battlefield. And that's bleeding. So if you're wounded or injured and you get to hemorrhagic shock, then we needed to modernize how we provided the blood far forward. And that's where freeze-dried plasma came to us. And the boss and General Bronson invested in this new technology with the right clotting material that we can teach our 68 whiskeys how to use it right at the point of injury. And then we can actually cut all the logistics line and have it far forward using drone technology that we have tested and experimented with, and have it at locations where it's readily available to save lives. I wanted to talk to you also before I hand it over to the ADA about the integration of the TOC with the ROC Army also allowed us. The ROC Army doesn't have the medical MOSs, So we went from teaching TC3 or Tactical Casualty Care course, Tier 1 and 2. We now have done an MOA to expand that to Tier 1 through 4 to help them with the medical, the lack of medics on the battlefield. And we also were able to get slots for our soldiers to get drone education and defense. With that, I'll turn it over to Ro.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ro Clemente, I'm the 35th ADA Brigade Commander, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you this afternoon about some of the modernization efforts that we're conducting on the peninsula from an integrated air missile defense perspective. And really what we're looking at here is fundamentally changing how we conduct integrated air missile defense in the Korea theater of operations. And we're getting after that in 3 key ways. The first way is the integration of the Integrated Air Missile Defense Battle Command System, known as IBCS. The goal is over the next 2 years, started this past January, is over the next 2 years, convert the 2 Patriot battalions that are currently stationed in Korea and convert them into IBCS-enabled Patriot battalions. And what this does for us is it's able to decouple our launchers and sensors from the fire control. And it's allowing us to take advantage of some of those TTPs and lessons learned that we've been observing from conflicts around the globe. Namely, dispersion of our integrated air missile defense assets. These are precious resources that honestly they're just in high demand, and there's a short supply, we have a short capacity for that. So it allows us to improve and leverage that survivability and that dispersion to essentially confuse our adversaries of where we are located at and be able to leverage that capability to the best possible extent. The second way that we're also modernizing is the introduction of IFPC, of the indirect fire protection capability. And this is a ground-based cruise missile defense capability that we're also introducing into the peninsula. We've received a number of the prototypes, and a number of our soldiers have been training on this piece of kit and integrating with other weapon systems and conducting the fire control of some of these weapon systems over long distances via Star Shield. And it's really providing us with that extended operational reach to conduct these operations, to conduct the command and control from long distances and to take advantage of that dispersion. And finally, when you put those two together, when you take the IBCS modernization of Patriot and the introduction of IFPC into IBCS as well, the third thing that we will do to fundamentally transform integrated air missile defense in Korea is composite air defense formations. We will have, in a couple of years, hopefully everything as everything goes on schedule, is IBCS enabled. So IBCS is that software that provides us with the command and control capability, but an ability to have IBCS enabled Patriot and IFPC composite battalion formations protecting the peninsula. The goal here is we have a very specific mission that's on the peninsula. We're conducting an active air defense mission every day. And the most important aspect is to provide that defense of the most critical assets on the Korean peninsula. And we're going to be doing that with IBCS. And really what we're trying to do is provide the best possible ballistic missile defense and air and missile defense capability, protecting the service members, families, and communities of the Republic of Korea and the United States homeland. So appreciate everyone's time. Looking forward to having that conversation with all of you. Thank you.
Okay, so you've heard from 3 of our commanders. I'd be remiss if I didn't just kind of put a bow on it by highlighting some of the other commands inside 8th Army that aren't necessarily represented up on the stage, but the things that they're doing. 2nd Infantry Division, under General Chuck Lombardo. I know he's running around here, but some of the innovative efforts that he's doing down at the tactical edge with the formations that he's got on how do they train better, how do they provide lethality more quickly and more efficiently, but then also what are they doing with our Republic of Korea allies in helping to innovate further in how we fight better together. Silly, simple examples, simply connecting a U.S. bridge to a Korean bridge. You would think that in the year of our Lord 2026, this would not be innovative, but it's taken us that long to be able to work the process to connect these 2 bridges where now you can combine U.S. and Korean engineering assets to put a bridge across the Han River or any other river that you need to cross. it just took leaders driving it down and driving that change down in there with 2nd Infantry Division. 501st Military Intelligence Brigade. Unfortunately, I don't have any of their command team here with us, but also working with our Korean allies and using AI-enabled solutions to enhance the targeting efforts that we have within 8th Army and within the 501st, and what they provide, not just to us as the land component, but what they provide to USFK as the Joint Force Commander. And then finally, I do have Colonel Byron Brown with us from 1st Signal Brigade. They just celebrated their 60th birthday as a brigade, founded in Vietnam and forward in this theater ever since then. But then the innovative efforts that they're doing to look at how do we build resiliency in our networks to ensure that in times of crisis, we are able to sustain and maintain the command and control necessary to fight the fight. So it's great to be with you all today. At this point, I'll stop flapping my gums and I'll pass over to Captain Hooker, who will run our Q&A session.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have 5 minutes. Followed by that, if you have any more questions, we'll bring our subject matter experts to my left, your right. But we have 5 minutes for any questions.
Thank you, Ken Kreitzer, Cam Vets Media. This harkens back to discussions I've had with the Navy and some of the assets they have on the Arleigh Burke destroyers. How do you coordinate with the Navy when you see a potential target coming from North Korea?
Absolutely. So we're very tied in the Combined Air Operations Center that's in Korea. So my air defenders are sitting side by side with the Korean, with our Korean partners as well, and we absolutely deconflict and are able to kind of capture some of those things when we're sitting there together and we're looking at a common air picture, and that's the whole purpose of that. And there's representatives in there from the Navy, there's representatives in there from the Air Force, and there's representatives of Army Air Defense in there as well. And so that's how we're able to deconflict that without going into too much detail.
Sir, Rick Merritt, former 8th Army ancient. I look back at my time in Korea. I think my commander's biggest challenge through the 3 of them that I had was readiness on the pen with our turnover from the leader elect and 70 years of manning practices. As I now know that that seed finally becomes rotation, are you starting to see the effects positive on readiness, having the leader and lead staying longer?
Sorry, Major, it's always good to see you. And so I think the short answer is, yeah, we are seeing an improvement now that we've gone. For those that don't know, Korea's moved from a 1-year unaccompanied tour model to what we're calling tour normalization, where for most areas, then we still have some unaccompanied tours and dependent restricted tours. For most areas, you now come with your family. And so if you come with your family, it's a 3-year tour. If you decide to leave your family in the United States and come along, you're coming in for a 2-year tour. What that's doing for us, it's improving the quality of life of our soldiers, right? It's improving our connectivity to our Korean allies, right? Because our families are there together, and there's an intangible that is created there when you've got families celebrating and going through trials, tribulations, and successes together. But it's also helping in building the readiness over time, because now you're not on this, if you think about a 1-year tour, you're effectively rotating a 1/12 of your force every single month. So no business model functions on that kind of turnover. You just can't survive it. No army should function on that kind of turnover. You can't survive it. So it's absolutely helping us. We're seeing we're seeing the growth now, and I think we'll continue to see it grow as the tour normalization continues, because you now, it's somebody other than the battalion commander and CSM who have the vision to push for 2 years. You now have platoon sergeants and platoon leaders and company commanders who are there with their soldiers, with their families for a much longer period of time.
I'd argue I couldn't modernize our units. I just wanted to tag on to that. To be honest with you, I don't think I could have modernized our formation if everybody was changing out every 12 months. I need leaders, and we need these soldiers who have a very unique expertise now. We're going to be the first brigade, the first 2 battalions in the air defense fleet to modernize to do that training. They're not changing out in 12 months. They're changing out in 2 years. Some of them, if they're coming with their families, they're changing out, and they will see modernization in our brigade and across the pen from the moment that they set foot, and then be able to take that force into the future. So it's absolutely critical to normalize those tours of Korea for modernization.
We have time for one more question. All right, not seeing any hands, but if you have any more questions, we'll have our subject matter experts over to my left, your right. Please, we welcome your questions. Thank you again.
Thank you. All right.